now, we bring you our first panel discussion. This panel aims to tackle issues around embracing Industry 4.0 among end users across all major industries. Now, this is a very usual question, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have that question too in mind. So our panel represents different perspectives in this holistic conversation on why end users are equally important as stakeholders in determining the successful adoption of Industry 4.0 solutions, starting from government to industry to associations. So our moderator needs no introduction. Ms. Sheila Singham is a woman of many talents. She is no stranger to ITAP, having been featured last year as a moderator for several important sessions. As the principal of Human Equation and co-founder of Pathway, her expertise spans across training and consultation in fintech, crisis management, and more. Our panelists joining her are just as illustrious. So first up is Datin Zainon Bakar, the Deputy Director General of Malaysia Productivity Corporation. She holds a Master's of Science in Policy Economics and has headed several portfolios in her 30 years at MPC. Her involvement is significant in the productivity and industry development of the country with the likes of Malaysia Productivity Blueprint, Third Industrial Master Plan, and both the 11th and 12th Malaysia Plan. Next up is Dr. Hizan, who is not only an orthopedic surgeon, but also the CEO of his own orthopedics company, OSA Technology, and a committee member of the Malaysian Medical Device Manufacturers Association, Perantim. He is passionate about Industry 4.0, especially in the medtech sector, but also has many questions on how it can be contributing to end users, making him perfect as our next panelist. Running up the panel is Mr. Loh Hong Kian, our industry specialist. He has been with Cognex as the Field Product Marketing Manager for the last 10 years, covering deep learning in markets like Korea, ASEAN, and India. He also brings 14 years experience in machine vision, showing why he can provide further insights. Over to you, Sheila, and fellow panelists.
Thank you, Lynn, for that introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome the panelists. Now, something that our Honorable Minister said earlier, Dr. Sri Mustafa Mohamad, is that businesses have to wake up, resonated a lot with me. And then when James Boy said that the COVID-19 pandemic has become like the chief transformation officer during this time, prodding many companies, to industrialize, embrace Industry 4.0. I have a question, which the first question I'd like to address to Datin Zainon. Has COVID-19 indeed accelerated Malaysians' industry's rate of embracing Industry 4.0? Do you have any, data that you would be able to share with us?
Thank you, Sheila. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera, and a very good afternoon to my fellow panelists, participants, and attendees to the ITAP Voice of the Market series. And I'm indeed very honored to be here today and would like to thank the organizer for inviting MPC to join this program today together with the other esteemed and distinguished panelists. Yeah. Okay, coming back to the question that you posed to me, Sheila, with regards to whether Malaysian industries are really embracing the industry forward, I would like to go back a little bit to history. Yeah? Coming from an agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, we have been brought back to the history of how Malaysia started with the journey towards industrialization and transformation of digitalization, by the YB minister just now, starting from 1996. And yes, I would say that where Malaysia's industries are concerned, looking at the statistics that we have, if I may share with you some statistics, if I may take a quote from an international report, the Institute of Management Development, IMD, where Malaysia stands in this regard, if I may, Sheila. Okay, there's this report, what they call the World Digital Competitiveness Ranking 2020 by IMD Switzerland. And the report, which looks at the knowledge or the know-how necessary to discover, understand, and build new technologies, looking also at technology in the overall context that enables the development of digital technologies as well as future readiness. This is the part that we are really looking at, whether the country is level of preparedness to exploit digital transformation or not. So in the year 2020, Malaysia ranked at 26th position among 63 economies. Okay, there are various, the three factors looking at technology, the knowledge, the technology, and the future readiness. Malaysia stands at number 26. Yeah. So from this report, you can look at what are the factors or the sub-factors under that. So under the future readiness, some of the statistics reported in this report, if I may, digital technology or the skills, we are ranked at number 30th. In terms of communication technology, we are at number 42nd among 63, and internet retailing at 45. Entrepreneurial fear of failure, we are at 36. Scientific and technical employment, we are at 50th, and internet users 41, and internet bandwidth speed 36, and software piracy 45th. So this some statistics shows that there are still a number rooms for Malaysia to improve on. Yeah, and stating back what have been mentioned by YB Datuk Sri Mustafa Mohamad just now, Malaysian SMEs, comprising almost 97% of the establishments in Malaysia, they are the crux of the industry in Malaysia. So really there is room for Malaysia to improve on based on these statistics here. And sure, we have to move, we have to wake up. We cannot be standing by, wait and see attitude. Really have to really go back. And for that matter, MITI, under the MITI in 2018, in response to the situation, MITI in 2018 have launched the Industry Forward or National Policy on Industry 4.0. I believe our attendees to the session today probably have heard of Industry Forward policy, which has been in place since 2018. Yeah. So and in this policy, it is actually a significant milestone for Malaysia because we want to be at par with developed nations in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 or IR 4.0. And it aims to transform the manufacturing sector and the related services through 13 strategies and 38 action plans. Yeah, so this is basically what I would say. Yes, our situation is still not really up to the par yet, and we have government have put in initiatives, the latest being the industrial 4IR policy in place, as mentioned by YB Minister just now. Back to you, Sheila.
Thank you so much, Datin, for being so very forthright in that. We always like to have an authentic perspective on these things. Now, I would like to address the other two panelists, Dr. Hezan and Hong Kian. Yeah. What are some of the challenges, from an end user perspective? You've been there, you've gone through this process. Now, from what we've been hearing all afternoon so far, there's so many aspects, there's so many challenges. The first thing, it starts off in the mindset. Then you've got the operational aspect, you've got the skills aspect, all right, the know-how and so on. So from your perspective, what are some of the challenges, that may be hindering organizations, basing it on your own experience? And how did you address that in the process of embracing Industry 4.0? Maybe I'll start with you, Dr. Hezan.
Thank you, Sheila. Well, I'm from Perantim. Perantim is an organization of Malaysian medical manufacturers, mainly the local boys, as compared as we're not the multinationals. And just for perspective, what is Malaysian industry export is? We export 30 billion ringgit, or about 7.5 billion last year, 2020, 25% increase in export, mainly in the glove and mask and all those areas because of the pandemic. Now, saying that, prior to this, all of us are aware of the need to go to 4.0, but it's just mainly an aspiration, but there's not real will inside us. We know the government efforts and the training and the grants towards that purpose, but from us, the manufacturers, we don't have, we know there's a need for it, but we don't see what we gain from this going to 4.0. We don't see it quantitatively, like if I do this, I will get increase in sales, I go how many percent, or how much I save, and what are the advantages I have. So it's mainly following the government policy. But now with the pandemic, like it was mentioned just now, it's like a good ambassador or marketeer for 4.0. We now work at 60%, and sometimes the factory, with the government's ever dynamic policies, we sometimes cannot, we don't have any workers that can be in the factory as well, but we need to run. We need to serve the nation, we need to serve the hospital, we need to serve people, and we need to export as well. So there is a need, and it's different from automation. Automation is like machines talking to machines, and it's just automation. But now with this Industry 4.0, there's more to it. We need to have, there's IoT, there is artificial intelligence, there's cybersecurity, then others. And all this, we see it helps. We see it as like, even it's like an online store. Or like if you have a normal store, it opens from 4 to 8, 8 to 4, or 8 to 10 maybe. But with a factory, it's one shift. But if now with the pandemic, even if there's not enough people, but even at night, the factory can still run. We can still have connection with our inventories, our marketings, our finances. If we don't have enough, we can connect to other factories and talk to their factories and something like that. And I know it's a lot of futuristic, but the steps towards it is going there. But then there's other challenges. The challenges is our small SMEs, we need support. Not all of us have software engineers, not all of us have big data scientists. We need support in terms of to look into our industry. And when we look around, I've asked our Peranti members, we find that it's difficult to get consultants or help to address our own different industries because we are unique. Medical grade, the securities, the regulatories, the quality must be there. It must be constant because our products is used for human lives. So we find that there's a challenge as well. So we have challenges just in getting help in terms of how to do this and how to move it faster. We know there's a lot of government support over there, but on the other hand, we need the other support from the IT world or the consultant of this 4.0 to come and help us to address our each need without too much cost. Cost is a factor to us. We know there's government grant, but the government grant is not 100%, it's 50%, 30%. But now with trying times, with the pandemic going on, and although medical is going great, but sometimes there's challenges because each medical manufacturers, we need to rely on other industry as well. But other industries, other factories are closed at the moment because of MCO. So those are our challenges.
Thank you, Dr. Izan. And what about you, Hong Kian? The challenges that you have faced and how are you addressing them?
Yep. Always pay visits to like different customers because I'm handling the Korean, ASEAN, and India. Then most of the time when I talk to customers, so they have a lot of questions. Can I trust you? Do you have any reference, or do you have anything to show them? I think everybody know about smartphones because like this is something which connect us to like cloud computing because everybody know Facebook. Actually, all these like big giants that use deep learning AIs to handle to make their business very well. But coming to manufacturing, then a lot of customers, they feel reluctant to try because they don't know. Because like maybe it will require a lot of knowledge, a lot of like expertise to know this. And smart factory, we know when we comes to industry, we need to connect like different technologies and processing in manufacturing. And go online, I think it's not a problem because in Malaysia, everywhere we can connect to internet and we can easily access to cloud. But coming to like go smarter, so this is something I found. So some customers still like stick with Industrial 3.0. We have automation, but coming to those like data, this is something we don't have. And when I go to those customer like site to pay a visit to factory floor, I don't even see some cameras. We call camera is not those CCTV. We talk about those like sensors, those like vision systems, which is very important for current industry because this is how we can like actually provide a very good qualities to the product. So this is something I thought, why this is not in? And this is another very important part in Industrial 4.0 we call CPS. CPS is Cyber Physical System, which can help us to collect all kinds of data which happen to the productions. And with this data feeding to the MES system or ERP, then it makes the cloud computing meaningful. Because like always we know, let's say you don't have important and those very good info or data to the system, then there's meaningless for the system even though you have the like cloud computing. If you don't have good thing, we call garbage in, garbage out. But let's say we have this kind of device actually start to actually implement to those factory floor. Actually, we can really help to move the production in next level. But this is something I would say in some of the manufacturers they still don't know what would be the benefit. And they still rely on a lot of labors. I can imagine in like some industry that actually employ more than like 1,000 or 2,000 for operators, especially coming to like inspections. They will just hire maybe 100 operators to do certain inspection one by one. And can you imagine this kind of inspection, it won't be consistent because human, sometimes we have different emotions. So it makes the system not so consistent. And can you imagine after those operators that left the company, so there's no anybody can replace them. I believe everybody has this experience if you're dealing with manufacturing. But if customers start to learn about what we say Industrial 4.0, when we can actually start to adopt this technology to collect more information, especially we can try to train the system as good as like human, like we try to learn the characteristics of human. This is what we call, in technology, we call deep learning. Then we can start to learn day by day how operators do the things. We can try to learn this knowledge into the system. So next time I will say, the more system we train up, then the better is the system. So this is something I find, but customers nowadays, they try to use like all kinds of like ways to access this. Of course, I know for SME, cost is a very big problem for them. But based on some feedback from my customer, they told me that they spend like a few years to start to actually use AI in the manufacturing. But end up, actually the consequence is after 2 years, maybe they only achieve 70%. Or maybe 80%. But this is something the boss didn't want. The boss, something, I believe all of you know, the boss always want, can you give me 6 sigma, 5 sigma? It's like 99%. So they cannot expect, like, let's say you have a something system which is not matured, they rather just continue to use human, use operators. Then actually, okay, after those bosses, like they found out the system is not reliable, then they feel more reluctant to try the new technologies. So based on our connects, because we are the machine vision leader in the market, so actually we help a lot of customers to change their process, to improve. And after they actually like try our system, especially this is like a quote from one of my customers, they told me that they spent 2 years, they never like did it well. And they're so afraid last time until they try the true solution for the expert, so they can actually like get over this so easily and turn this to the production floor. So over here, my message is like, let's say we can really follow some expert advice, or we can actually get more reference from some success stories. So this maybe can help our manufacturer actually to start invest more in Industrial 4.0 technologies. So this is my idea.
Thank you so much, Hong Kian. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'm just going to summarize and address one last question to Datin Zainon. So Datin, based on what the two gentlemen, Dr. Hizan and Hong Kian, have sort of, enlightened us about, there's so many different aspects. One of that is the expertise in the specific technology for the specific sector of the industry. And so there's the issue of cost. If you're going to get an external consultant, cost is going to, there's a big consideration there. Then there's the issue of upskilling also. Yeah. And Hong Kian mentioned about case studies. There's not enough information, metaphors, success stories, people advocating this going on. So the education and skills training and so on needs to be intensified. From your perspective, what can agencies like yours, what are some of the initiatives that agencies like yours undertaking to address these challenges facing industries out there? I think you're muted, Datin.
Yeah, sorry for that.
Okay.
Thank you for the question, Sheila. Okay, with respect to the questions that you posed just now, okay, I would like to mention here the program under the industry forward policy. We have what we call the readiness assessment. Okay, for the year starting this year, 2021, MPC have been entrusted to actually manage and organize or coordinate this readiness assessment. This is a program in which we invite companies to come on board and have their readiness assessed in terms of the adoption, whether they are ready. And we look at the the assessment is undertaken by a third party or assessment body, looking at the process, the shift factors, which are the process, the people and the technology. So these programs are welcome to all the manufacturing sectors as well as manufacturing related sectors, and whereby we can then, after the assessment, they can really identify what are the gaps of their adoption. And this program also offers assistance in terms of funding if companies are interested to embark on their digitalization journey. The government have offered under the intervention fund by MIDA, they have this assistance to for companies to start their industrialization journey. So there are also various other programs in terms of you mentioned about trainings and all that. We also have what we call under MPC itself, we called productivity 1010 or productivity through digitization, which is an initiative to assist businesses in the manufacturing sector and manufacturing related sectors to services to kickstart their digitization journey, whereby we have what we call digitization self-diagnostics tool to assess company digitization readiness level, as well as providing productivity improvement programs in assisting companies to digitize targeted processes based on proof of concept project by training and on-site engagement. These are some of the assistance provided, and we have also other programs of funds under MIDA, which is called the Domestic Investment Strategic Fund, High Impact Fund, and a few other guarantee schemes offered to companies to really come on board this journey, because we really want, especially the SMEs, to start as soon as possible, be together with the rest of the industries in this industrialization policy. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Datin. Thank you for that. So industries out there, if you're listening, you're facing the challenges, you don't know where to start, start with the readiness assessment, you know, with MPC, and then take it from there. I'm afraid that's all that we have time for today. I would like to thank each of our panelists, Dr. Zainul, Dr. Hizan, and Hong Kian, for being here today and giving us such valuable insight. Fortunately, we'd love to carry on, but time does not permit. Maybe we can take this discussion offline on another day. Thank you very much for being here and for your valuable input.